System boot up. Engage intro protocol. It's time for another look from the James Webb perspective. Welcome back to the Ultimate Gaming Run, the series where I am attempting to play through all of the main games for the main roster and as many of the spirits as possible in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. If this is the first time you have ever visited my channel, allow me to indulge you in the rest of this series thus far with a curated selection of my ever-improving catalog of attempts to be good at a game series for babies. Last time in the Chronicles of Kirby, we took a detour to get split into 10 and play through Kirby Mass Attack in an effort to restore our Lord and Savior Kirby of Popstar to his original greatness after the weak and sniveling sneak attack from Necrodius. If you would like to see how we did that and where that game landed on my tier list, feel free to check out that video and all the rest if you'd like. Today we are back on track to the mainline series so we can learn more about the immense power of Kirby in an effort to unlock his potential in the world of light and fight against the Radiant Galeem. On the agenda for today is Planet Robobot, a pretty much direct sequel to Triple Deluxe that was released on the 3DS as well. Featuring the same aesthetics, main gameplay sequences, and mechanics as the prior game, down to the gimmick of the warp stars taking you from foreground to background and vice versa. With the similarity between the two games so high, first impressions are mostly just what I said about Triple Deluxe, so go watch that video. I'll wait. Planet Robobot opens up with the Harvester mothership from Independence Day Resurgence landing on Popstar and beginning its sci-fiization. This absolutely immense vessel industrializes the entire planet into a sci-fi masterclass. And though DDD and Meta Knight do what I am sure is their very best to help, they are literally side characters, and Kirby is not. So with Kirby sleeping through the Industrial Revolution, he awakens to the disastrous consequences and sets off to show once again that people need to leave Popstar the fuck alone. Now, I lied earlier because I am on the internet, and that is what people on the internet do, about first impressions being the same as the last game. Every single world in this game has a totally different corporatist vibe to it, which influences the way the world works and what gameplay sequences we can expect. Popstar is an idyllic paradise, with simple lives and simple folk whose biggest concerns outside of getting invaded by so many eldritch horrors tend to be, am I gonna eat bananas or ice cream today? So because the modern era literally needs a job market or democracy will collapse, this massive vessel has decided to modify every single enemy in this game to enact its will on the planet, so expect to see plenty of head implants on these foes moving on. Now that every single person on Popstar has internalized the corporate agenda, our adventure can begin. This first world is predominantly based off of the second wave of industrialization, where electricity and radio communication facilitated mass production for the very first time in human history. You're gonna notice that a ton of the aesthetics and settings of this game are rooted in the history and future of technology. The number of references is actually kind of insane. Now, I am a huge sci-fi nerd, and this is just my bread and butter. I immediately love the concept of a major corporation finding a beautiful place like Popstar and deciding, actually, you don't use your resources correctly. You need to be absolutely draining the land and dismantling ecosystems or you aren't superior life forms, obviously. Fucking idiots. Because that is how real life is. Kirby is now literally eligible for the title of Luddite, which, if you don't know what that means, textile workers during the first Industrial Revolution that destroyed machines to protest unsafe work environments and wage reductions. Importantly, this movement was so threatening to the power of the government at the time that the British government sent more soldiers to quell the Luddites than they did to fight motherfucking Napoleon Bonaparte. Profit has literally always run the world. Anyway, this first world features pipes and barrels of what I am assuming is oil. The whole world has a sort of mechanized nature aesthetic to it, as if the plants themselves were becoming metal. Toxic sludge is fucking up the environment, and robots are being sent out to convert the natives into obedient wage slaves. This is a Kirby game, by the way. This is not Cyberpunk 2077 or fucking Death Stranding. It's a Kirby game, and they are not even trying to be subtle here. In this first level, you get met with all this and learn the basics of the game and how the rest of your experience is basically about to go. The camera is a bit more dynamic in this game compared to Triple Deluxe, and I personally believe that the 3D environments actually look like they have more depth to them. I'm not sure how to explain it, really. I was just much more easily able to tell where stuff was in this game compared to the last one. Now, to beat this game, we are after these code cubes. These are scattered about in the levels, often requiring you to find a secret nook or do something puzzly for them, and you need a small number of them per world to unlock the boss of that world. Out of 100 code cubes in the game, you only need 35 to beat the final boss, so this was not a hard task. Otherwise, once we beat the big bad evil corporate boss, we are done here. The second level in the game introduces us to why this game rocks. I'm in a mech. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Kirby is literally in a mech. Your arguments against this game are invalid. Look, the last few years of mainline Kirby games have all felt mostly the same. I'm not about to deny that. It's true. But you cannot possibly tell me with a straight face that the ability to use a mech suit, complete with unique variants of every copy ability, is boring. I challenge anyone to say that shit to my face and mean it. They are so powerful, and you can just feel the impact and energy behind the flamethrowers, bombs, plasma blades, and electric bolts, and it's only gonna get better from here. In the rest of the levels, we board a train and make our way through the old-timey railway, immediately fight this giant robot, then infiltrate their giant laser-defended chemical factory. Come on, look at this place. Before we make our way to the world boss. Now, the bosses in this game are all cinematic and all quite a ways more difficult than the average Kirby boss, for sure. I was not expecting the very first boss to give me a run for my money, but Clanky Woods here had a lot of tricks up its branches. The arena is dynamic, as is the actual fight. In this game, bosses have 3 phases, so you can never truly get comfy fighting them. Once you've gotten to the point where you have them figured out, they switch things up on you. This, I think, is a major boon for the game as a whole, since it keeps the experience fresh and interesting every step of the way. Clanky Woods, for example, starts in a standard combat arena in 2D, but then you start fighting him in a circular arena where he can chase you down and shoot missiles at you, and then he looms in the background and attacks you from there. The developers really use the 3D landscape to its fullest potential here, and that makes things awesome for the player. And it's not like the developers were unaware of fan perspectives on the games either. Wispy Woods has always been a really easy boss in the series, and the first one, of course. So for them to subvert expectations and have you fighting a walking, roaring missile tree is a fantastic way to tell the player this game is different. Despite the same engine being used, this game is a visual and cinematic pleasure to experience. Alright, enough glazing. This ain't a Krispy Kreme. We defeat Clanky Woods and move along. World 2 features Society! No! Kirby in a cityscape is kinda out of place. And the Waddle Dees, I swear, they are so adaptable. They take on new technology like white dogs take on iCrusty. It's kinda crazy that they haven't been privy to cars, roads, or electricity for longer than, I don't know, maybe an hour of gameplay, and they are following traffic laws and using machinery like it's nothing. Did I mention that there were mechs in this game? Yeah, and if you copy Jet, you are now playing a shoot 'em up. I love shmups. This is so cool! Suddenly, we are careening across the sky in a jet mech. I fucking love Kirby games. Hey, wanna see something cool? Take a look at this. Kirby is canonically in possession of infinite energy. Gonna have to update the holy books for this one. Aw, yeah, it's time to do what every boomer that thinks they're better than the new generations has done for the last 80 years and gamble the greatest amount of wealth ever gathered by a generation to casino operators in the middle of the desert. Let's do it. The boss of World 2 is this holographic defense unit. Now, I actually had a bit of an issue with this boss pretty much instantly. See, the way this boss is supposed to look is holographic renditions of prior bosses in the series, like Krako, Sphere Doomers, and the Coily Rattler. What I got was basically a rendering issue, so the bosses were basically invisible. Look at this! This is straight up unfair, but I suppose it just goes to show that I am, in fact, the best gamer of all time, because though I did get beat up quite a bit, I was still able to fight 4 different mini-bosses, all mostly invisible, and not die once. I felt pretty good about that, honestly, and it did make the boss more exciting than I think it otherwise would have been. Still wouldn't recommend this though, it was really disconcerting. World 3 is a water world, whatever. I'm in a Hot Wheels car, and thus your argument is invalid once again. The rest of this world has a cozy sort of port aesthetic, like Rico Harbor from Mario Sunshine, with ships and cargo mechanisms and a gigantic ice cream factory that creates and then instantly wastes immense quantities of ice cream like a true corporation. I'm so proud of them. I love this factory though. The floor is popsicles and ice cream sandwiches, and you can see gigantic containers of ice cream in the background. The whimsy of this series is just stellar, even if we're facing some of the worst horrors that humanity has to offer. The boss of this world is, oh, well, hello there. This cutie is named Susie, and she is the executive secretary for the president of the Haltman Company that has been destroying Popstar. She seems to be of the opinion that natives are literally not people, and that their natural resources are there to be taken and exploited, so she dons a mech suit and starts her assault. Side note, she calls it her business suit, which is very funny. Honestly, cute secretaries are practically a staple of high-end corporate bosses, so she makes sense, but Kirby's hands are rated E for everyone. Equal rights, equal fights. Despite her best efforts, she is taken down. Credit to her though, she tanked that mech's explosion like an absolute badass. Didn't even seem phased. She escapes our Lord's wrath,
For now.
and we can move on to the next world. Welcome to the desert world. Why are there giant blenders of toxic sludge in the background? Why the hell are you asking me? Do I look like ExxonMobil? Oh, look! The mysterious desert alien temple that keeps showing up in Kirby games. I wonder what the hell it's doing here. Oh, actually, there's a lot of them. That's a little concerning, actually, because these extraterrestrials definitely knew exactly what they were doing when they arrived on Popstar. They had no hesitation as they attacked, so they clearly knew what was up. Was this gigantic pyramid gathering information for Haltman Industries as far back as Kirby 64? As far back as Dreamland 3? Get your tinfoil hats on, this shit's getting conspiratorial! You might think I'm reaching here, but honestly, I'm not so sure. Haltman Industries has some serious tech on its hands. Just the ship alone is incredible. It's a planet-sized monster, but then they also have lasers, robots, AI, mechs that can turn creatures into pure raw data and absorb that data to transform, cyborg tech, and the apparent ability to mechanize anything. Its technology is so immense that it looks like magic, and that is what the pyramid has always looked like. The fact that it can move of its own accord doesn't hurt the theory either. This thing's just straight up as a scout. We face off against Cogs and then the second phase Kabula, taking no damage, by the way. Sorry, ladies, this gamer is taken. Sorry, this idiot is taken. The boss of this world is... it's the secretary! The main theme of this game is the cult-like song sung by the employees of the Haltman Company treating their CEO like a god. So Walmart team building exercises are commonplace here too. Got it. Anyway, Susie Q over here is absolutely crushing on Meta Knight before revealing that he was forced into some upgrades and then sicking him on us. Holy shit, this game is dark. Mecha Knight is so dangerous. He moves fast as fuck, boy, and is really hard to predict, especially with this move where as soon as you jump over him, he decides that Kirby needs a new anus and pokes upwards, which has got to hurt. His finest efforts are for naught, however, as Kirby defeats him yet again. I love this. He goes to check on Meta Knight, gets startled by him, is ready to fight some more, then Meta Knight falls over and fucking explodes, and Kirby 2 seconds later is like, all right, let's dance. It's amazing. He doesn't give a fuck. Our next world is a bumpin' musical city straight out of a combination of Cyberpunk and fucking Deltarune. I half expected Queen to show up and start handing out bananas. Instead, we get to go back to the casino, now featuring gigantic balls. That is the joke. This is not an innuendo this time. Literal giant balls. Train. Since I am somewhere along the spectrum, you all already know I like trains. And this one is much more modern than that old-timey one in the desert. We are advancing in the tech ages for sure. Looks like the closer we get to the main body of the Haltman harvester ship, the more advanced the tech becomes. The boss of this world is once again introduced to us via Susie, who remarks that Kirby is an impressive being for trashing Mecha Knight before saying that the quote-unquote mother computer isn't perfect, and then showing off a nanogenetics gel copy of DDD. What did they do to my DDD? They fucking isekai'd my mad lad! I do love how Kirby never seems to be at all that concerned. He just tilts his head like a puppy. All this is way over his head. He doesn't care. He sees no threat until the DDD clone is attacking. Initially, this is just a fight against DDD. No problem. But once enough damage is done, the clone splits into 3, and now things get difficult. They can very quickly overwhelm you, so you gotta be careful. Once you have sufficiently beaten these toddler Ds down enough times, they enter their next phase. The D3 cannon is an interesting boss because it can move in 3D, but you cannot. I can only imagine this is because Kirby is intentionally not putting his best efforts into defeating DDD because he knows that DDD is not a threat, but I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. The entire time we have been beating these bosses, we have also been destroying the legs of the Haltman Harvester, so now that it has collapsed, we can access the main body of the ship. Listen to its theme song! DJ Editor, play that shit!
Okay.
Oh, straight fucking electronic badassery. The first level is like a big fancy atrium and a monument to the ego of the corporate businessmen. Security bots that behave exactly like the Metal General from Halcandra show up to ruin our day. More tech that Haltman Industries must be responsible for. Is all of Halcandra's tech due to them too? The second level features Rubik's Cubes and a gigantic central strand of cosmic DNA, which is concerning, but that is nothing compared to the vast virtual dataverse that you can access from the second level onwards. We skip from the modern cityscape to the Matrix. Holy crap. This data zone for the most part was just a mini boss rush, which is fine. It's still cool as hell.
We're doomed from the start, buddy. My wife's watching me play.
Doesn't that normally make you worse?
No.
But with that, we have arrived at the final boss. We rise through the elevator, watching the dataverse fade and the simulated environment go inert before arriving at the portal door to the head office of the company. Susie is there and almost immediately 6 Mecha Knight plus on us. This is basically the same as the prior fight, complete with taint poker, but now, once you have done enough damage to him, he creates a massive clawed tail, which really changes the pace of the fight. Now you have to avoid that and the rest of his attacks. Once defeated, his mask breaks, and the embarrassment of this badass Chad being cute will immediately cause him to regain selfhood and fly off. At this point, Haltman has seen enough. Susie is about to fight us again, but he interrupts and dismisses her. Mind you, Susie's full name is Susanna Patria Haltman. She is this guy's daughter, and he dismisses her like she's nothing, has her call him sir, and thanks Kirby for looking after his secretary. So it's only been, 15 seconds, and I'm already about to Luigi Mangione this guy. That's just good character design, honestly. Anyway, he shows us his computer wife or something, and then puts on his shiny golden business suit and begins fighting us. This is actually pretty similar to the fight against Susie, though he has a few new attacks, like shooting money at us to block our vision. I love that. And making a lot of little golden copies of Susie. I like that a lot less. I also love how immediately after his big shiny suit gets destroyed, he starts singing his favorite Pocahontas song and calls us a savage, like 5 times, sorry. He decides it is time to use the supercomputer named Star Dream to kill us, but right as he's about to, Susie comes in and snatches the control helmet away, causing him to pass out from the strain. I think that these two are robotic. I'm honestly not sure. Regardless, she's basically usurping her father here, and is just about to don the helmet for herself before the computer shoots her with lightning and has its Ultron moment. I mean, what else do you call it? Waking up and deciding within 10 fucking seconds that it is best to end history. Susie's not about that, so she hands us a mech, and Meta Knight pops in with the halberd that Kirby scans and becomes one with as we approach the final fight. What the fuck is happening in this game? Star Dream is an almost angelic supercomputer, and that combined with the absolutely stunning background of this fight as it becomes a shoot 'em up like Star Fox and the epic music really makes for a cinematic experience. Kirby has never been more epic. In this first phase, Star Dream uses portals to summon lasers, drones, meteors, and code cubes to smash the halberdy out of the sky! In phase 2, Star Dream merges with the whole of the Haltman Harvester ship, and suddenly things start getting weird. The music takes on a far more somber sort of tone, as if things are getting really bad, and then the entire planet-sized ship starts weaving in and out of reality. This is not natural. This is godlike technology. This thing is the size of a planet, and it's just moving like this. It's uncanny. As you fight, pieces of the armor start flying off, and once you have beaten this phase, this is the true form of Star Dream. Remember in Superstar Ultra that Galactic Nova was an ancient piece of tech with godlike capacities? Yeah, this is a rebuilt, even more powerful, similar thing to that. It's cute, but it is whimsically indifferent to the cosmos and its effect on them. It immediately begins warping the fabric of reality, then turns back time to possess old technologies to combat us. There is a seriously eldritch aspect to this monster, far more than any other Kirby final boss, and I am genuinely extremely creeped out by it. We have, as human beings, a notion of how stuff in the world is supposed to work. Matter and energy, electricity, and especially large technology. All of these things are cemented in our heads as having certain properties. Gigantic things move slower than smaller things. Just compare how you move to how a fly moves, and you will feel so sluggish. Matter is not supposed to be able to teleport, and technology, despite the rise in AI lately, cannot think, right? But here, Star Dream ignores all of that. It is vast. It is teleporting in and out of reality as if it straight up doesn't participate in it, and it is serene, playful, unbothered, and learning as it fights. Once once it has run out of ideas and we blast it in the face, it finally proves it was always capable of instantly ending us by shooting the halberdy down. But all that means is that Kirby is now pissed off and just bum rushes the mighty machine. With a final brutal hurrah, Kirby rips right through the top of this machine's head all the way through, proving he is an accomplished medical doctor with experience in both lobotomy and AI pattern recognition management, as we finally put an end to Haltman and the company that has caused us so much trouble in this game. The technology it created fades away, proving it was all also using the insane magitech of Star Dream to function, and peace returns to Popstar once more. Holy crap, guys. This was insane. From the moment the Haltman arc landed to the final confrontation with the biggest boss Kirby has ever fought, this game was an absolute sci-fi treat. The music, the design, the cinematic bosses, just the whole gameplay shtick of mechs and tech, it was all just stellar. This game is a ton of fun not just to play, but to look at, listen to, mess around in, and get better at. There was a lot of political commentary under the scenes here. I mean, it's all over the screen. But even besides the forced takeover, mass industrialization of natural landscapes, pollution and desecration of beauty, and non-consensual modifications of the citizens of Popstar, you also see just how insane greed can become. Max Prophet Haltman, that is his actual full name, I did not make that up, is one of the most heartless bosses in Kirby. And I say that with the full knowledge that 02, Sectonia, and Marx exist. 02 and all of Dark Matter read to me less like actual beings and more like an eldritch disease, or a blight upon the cosmos. It's basically an intelligent predator. Sectonia was beyond vain and arrogant, but all tyrants need to promise something to their constituents to run their empires, and she pretty much lost the moment she stopped respecting her second in command. Marx is a manipulator and intends to take over Popstar, but he's basically a child, and a spoiled one at that. But Max Hartman. Supplementary material says, quote, he once lost his only daughter in an accident, and ever since then, the man has been casting aside his heart and even his memories, living only for the sake of his company's growth. But even that too was only for the sake of granting his wish, to see his daughter once more. This man lost Susie thanks to the mother computer and got to the point that he built his company in an effort to get her back, only to end up replacing his emotions, memories, and almost all of his selfhood, so that by the time she was returned to him, he didn't even remember her. That is fucking haunting. No wonder she was angry at him, and even happy to see him go when she stole the helmet. This game has a lot to say about the horrors of corporatist society. And yes, I keep saying corporatist because this shit is not capitalism. This is a single monopolized super company making what amounts to unilateral socio-cultural and political decisions utterly in spite of the local wildlife, resources, and natives. This is the Dutch East Indies Company. This is Nestle. This is Cargill. And if you do not understand how mind-bendingly evil these companies can be, you have not learned how cruel humanity is. This seems like, look at this insane exaggeration of corporate evils, but no, not at all, not even a little. Anyway, regardless of all that insane drama, we have some final thoughts to make. I say final as in for this game. I'm hoping that upon release of this video, the bankers that invest in all these mega corporations don't send a sniper after me. I guess you'll all find out if I post next week. Anyway, the only issue I even had with the game at all was that the levels were short, and thus I felt like the game ended quite quickly. Some of the secret code cube rooms, these orange doors that usually lead to puzzles to try and solve for a collectible, were extremely simple. I never struggled in this game, really. Not against the levels, not in the puzzles, not against Meta Knight, not against the final boss. Not like I did in Triple Deluxe anyway, and that made the intensity a bit less than I'd like. But beyond that, really, this game is amazing. I love the soundtrack, the visuals, and I love the fact that I'm in a fucking mech half the time. That's a major bonus. A-tier game for sure. It's a great time. I know that a lot of Kirby games are scoring quite high, but really, platformers are my jam. Copy abilities are fun as hell to get good at, and I've loved all the gimmicks so far, so I stick by that decision. I still fundamentally believe that the biggest pull to Kirby is that anyone can pick up the games and play no matter how you like to play video games. None of the kids are gonna get all the corporate references. Most of the adults aren't gonna care too much about the platformer. They want to learn, whoa, what the heck is going on? And most of the older generations don't really care about either of those two things. They just want to have fun with their kids and grandkids. If you have something to say about all the stuff I've stated in this video, please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. You can always unsubscribe later if you want to. But I hope you all have a great time. Be safe out there. Learn as much as you can. Good luck, have fun, make money. Not too much money though, but I'll see y'all next time.